Welcome to Sleeping with Sarah. I'm Sarah Albritton, a narcoleptic comedian, and this is the podcast where I interview people in my bed and we talk about sleep, comedy, and relationships. This is my 74th episode, and this is after a little bit of a hiatus I had to take because life got busy, and that's all right, it happens sometimes. But I'm back with an awesome interview. This week I got to interview one of my favorite people in the Chicago comedy scene right now, Sonal. She is so awesome. She has lived everywhere. She's lived in Hawaii, she's lived in Europe, she's lived in India. She has had this life of all these different fun experiences, and it was a great way to talk to her to see how all this contributed to her starting comedy in places you wouldn't expect, like in India, where they don't really even do full shows, they do presentations. We also talked about how she did the Fire Jam, how she would do street performing and do all these little things to like make money when you're traveling. We also talked about love marriage, which apparently marriages that aren't arranged in India are called love marriages. So we talked a little bit about that, and we just had a real fun conversation. I'm real excited for you to check it out. Sonal is great. She helps produce the show Colleen, which is on Saturday nights in Chicago, and also Congrats on Your Success, which is the first Thursday of every month at Uncharted Books. You might have also seen her on a little Netflix show called Easy, where they featured the whole show, Congrats on Your Success, and several other Chicago comics in this real fun episode in the latest season. You can also follow Sonal on Twitter, Razor_Bliss. She's also in an upcoming web series. I think they have their first pilot episode out. It's called Code Switched, and that's a really cool one you should check out as well. Speaking of web series, that's really where a lot of my focus has been, because I've been deep into this post-production for a web series that I helped co-create along with Catherine Pavanelli, who's one of my closest friends, and we are on the brink of having it come out and be released. It's called Super Narcoleptic Girl. It's about a narcoleptic superhero with the power to make people dance as she struggles to save the day and stay awake. We had a lot of really cool stand-ups, have some roles in there. We've got Greg Holloman from Stranger with Candy. It was a really, really fun project and took a lot more work than I expected. If you're ever going to film and produce something, it's going to take twice as long and cost twice as much. But we are in the home stretch, and we are actually going to be doing our first screening. We're going to be doing screenings in Chicago, New York, and LA. So Chicago screening is February 5th, and we're going to have stand-ups open that show. We've got Sonal Agarwal, Shannon Knoll, and Kevin Kellum opening that show, and then we're going to do the screening of the whole series, which is about 27 minutes or so, and it'll be a fun show. And then we've got our show at New York, which will be February 9th, and then our show in LA will be February 15th. I will update more details on that as we come closer. If you want to know more about the series or check out the trailer, go to www.sngwebseries.com. Did it that way because narcoleptic is a little hard for some people to spell. Sleeping with Sarah is brought to you by Audible.com. Please go to audibletrial.com/sleepingwithsarah to get a free audiobook of your choice. This week, I'd like to recommend The Last Black Unicorn by Tiffany Haddish. Again, that's audibletrial.com/sleepingwithsarah. If you like this podcast, please rate and review and on iTunes, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcasts. And be sure to follow me on Twitter at Sarah Albritton. Well, let's get started with the show. Sleeping with Sarah. Well, welcome to Sleeping with Sarah. I'm Sarah Albritton. I'm here with my guest, Sonal. How'd you sleep last night, Sonal?
Okay. Yeah. Pretty good.
You know. Pretty good? Do you usually sleep pretty good?
My schedule's pretty messed up right now. I'm definitely on the night vision.
Yeah?
Night visioning, night owling, and then I'm all about that nap life.
The nap life.
Right now, yeah. I take some pretty impressive naps.
Yeah? You a big napper?
I am a big fan of naps. You know, they're not for everybody. Not everybody likes to nap. And I also like sleeping in transit. I'm very good at sleeping in transit.
I do that too. Like sleeping on the train, like any moving vehicle.
Yeah.
You know? I fell asleep on a roller coaster once.
That's impressive.
Well, it wasn't like a fast one. It was like the Haunted Mansion at Disney. So it was like, it's kind of slow.
Coaster.
Yeah, fine. It was a ride, though.
It's a ride. That's fair enough. I could probably fall asleep. Some of those Disney rides are very long.
Do you ever miss your train stop? Have you ever ended up on the end of the train?
I've missed a train stop or two. Yeah. I mean, not too many times because I think that's one of those things that, it's like one time is a great lesson for that to never, ever happen again.
Yeah. One time I ended up all the way at the end of Howard. And it was like the train was like, everyone has to get off. And that's when I woke up. And I was like, oh, okay. So.
Yeah, I grew up in the suburbs. So we would take the metro in and out of the city. And that's pretty bad because that stops running after midnight.
Oh, so if you miss a stop, oh wow.
So if you miss a stop, then suddenly you're, in Aurora, and it's like, what are you supposed to do? You're like an hour away from home, and there are no more trains. That's never happened to me before. I never ended up in Aurora, but I did end up a few suburbs away. And now, what am I supposed to do? Or expensive solutions, either in time or money.
Oh, that's tough.
Fun stuff.
But you said you're a night owl, so you usually stay up till like 4 or 5 in the morning, like that late, or more just...
I've been a little bit in that rhythm the last couple of weeks, and it's like, oh, God, it's 4 again.
Because, I remember seeing you after that show, and you said that you were out till like 6 a.m. the night before Fly Honey show.
Oh, well, that was the whole, that's not really, you're in the Fly Honey world.
And that's just a different world.
That's a whole different, level of flyness where I don't know if the fly honeys ever sleep when it's fly honey season. Yeah, they're doing it. That is that's an incredible movement of people and philosophy and shaking.
Yeah.
And stuff happening every year now at the Den Theater. It's been going on for ages.
I know. Like, that was just a very cool show, though. That is.
This is very comfortable. I must say, what kind of pillow is this?
That is a Tempur-Pedic pillow. So back when I had a big girl job, I got a nice mattress. And I figured this is a good way to get some more use out of it other than just sleeping.
This is this is that good level of firm but squidgy.
Firm but squidgy? That's that's exactly what you need. A firm but squidgy mattress.
It's a little bit on the squidge side. So my bed at home, but it's pretty good.
So you live in the burbs, but you are in the city quite a lot.
I'm in the city all the time. I mean, it's funny. I'm in this funny transition. I didn't live in the country for like 10, 12 years. For around 10, 12 years. And then I had a big life-changing event, and now I'm back in Chicago. And it's cool because it serves me to be there out, with my roommates, mom and dad, because I'm still getting geared up to do traveling all the time.
Yeah. So wait, when did you move back from? And you moved from India, right?
I moved back from India in October of 2015.
Oh wow! So that's pretty recent.
Is it? Yeah, I guess it feels like it's been ages. Feels like I've been here forever, but I guess you're right. It's only a year and.
Were you doing comedy there?
Yeah. I sure was, but it was there's no context. So in terms of I'm doing comedy, it's like I'm working as an MC in India, right? Not like a rapper. I mean, I guess I did do a little rapping here and there.
You did a little rapping? I want to hear this. Where's your...
Nothing's documented. I'm just so in the now. I mean, this is so impressive to me because this is like all this stuff that needs to be set up. And I guess once you got it set up and going...
Yeah.
I mean, I started traveling when it was like... Nowadays, it's incredible that you can have a live video camera phone.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, when I started traveling, it was like... You had the little flip phones, and you had Snake.
Yeah.
And that was the game. And that was a lot of why I like to travel, too, because I like to get away from the phone. And just wherever you are, whatever you're doing, that's it. There's no, like, if I run into somebody, it's like, oh, you want to book a massage? Then you have to tell me, we're going to meet at a specific place in 2 days, and you better be there because I don't have a way... And I better be there because I don't have a way of contacting you.
Oh, wow.
And telling you that it can't happen. Of course, life happens and sometimes, you can't make stuff. People can't make stuff. But it's all good. It's not like, where were you? I was texting you.
So you were doing massage in India and also comedy. Where did you discover comedy
When
in
you're
India?
traveling, you do everything.
Okay.
When you're traveling, you do everything. And everybody...
So you're just traveling all around India doing all these different things?
No, I don't really. When I'm in India, I stay in one place. I'll stay in Goa for like 6 months at a time. I've done that a couple of times. I've had time. Of course, you travel when you're in India. You travel with the seasons. That's what people do.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
You'll be in Goa for the season, and then when the summer really comes and it starts to get super hot, and the monsoon comes, then you want to get.
It's like Mary Poppins. You travel with the seasons.
Yeah,
right? She fucking
it is kind
pulls
of
out
like
her
Mary
umbrella
Poppins.
and just like, I'm out.
Yeah, that was dope. Mary Poppins was vibe. She was very cool. There was some very cool wisdom in that show. Also very weird, like
very weird.
classism.
A little absurdist. Yeah.
I don't mind the absurdism, but like just the, spoonful of sugar or whatever. What's that supposed to mean, Mary?
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah.
So I first started traveling. I had the privilege of going to India all the time because we're Indian. My family's Indian, right? So we get to go. Yeah. And then I would just meet people who are traveling and I'm like, you're what? I want to do that. I'm going to do that. So I kind of broke away from my family and I met this Brazilian girl who was selling clothes in Europe that she gets made in India. She gets and there's tons of people doing this. I mean, tons. What does that mean? Anyway, relatively, there are a lot of people doing this also. And that sounded great. She's like, come with me to Italy. I speak Spanish already. So I'd be able to learn Italian. So I speak a bit of Italian now.
Parli italiano?
Parlo italiano. Tu parli italiano?
Yeah, parlo un po' italiano.
Un po'. Italiano molto bellissimo. La mia lingua
I could practice with you. Fuck, I haven't spoken Italian in a long time.
Preferita, voglio molto bene parlare in italiano. In italiano, come cantare una canzone.
Voglio andare in Italia.
Voglio andare in Italia. The only thing that I knew how to say for the first couple of weeks I was there was provare non costa niente, which means to try is free.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Well, kind of. You're just selling clothes.
To try, it's free. Well, I always remember the first thing I learned, because as a girl in college that was Italian, I was just about to start taking Italian classes, and she taught me basta, and I was like, basta pasta. We would just say, basta means stop.
Yeah.
So we just say basta pasta all the time, and so I always remember basta means stop.
And Italy is incredibly encouraging as a country. You get there and you're like, pasta. And they're like, you speak Italian. And I'm like, I know how to say pasta. And they're like, that is wonderful. You're very good.
I love Italy. Like, it was such a great experience there.
How long were you in Italy for?
I wasn't in Italy as long as I wanted to be. I was in Rome for like 5 days. I was in Florence for another 4 or 5 days. And then I went for a day trip to Cinque Terre, which I love, which is the series of mountain towns, like 2.5 hours outside of Florence. And so, like, that was really awesome. But I was just traveling by myself because, like, I wanted to see the world and I didn't have people that had time off to go. So I was like, I'm just going to go travel.
You go, girl.
Yeah. And so.
And then did you find that it's like you're never really on your own when you're traveling?
Absolutely.
The world is with you.
You make
people
friends.
See you and they're like, I want to be part of this journey in a positive way. You have like psychos and stuff out there too, but I feel very bold in most other countries because people don't have guns anywhere else, so I feel like I can defend myself and be like, I will chop your willy off with my toenails if you get near to me. But I feel very like people have guns around here.
It is very,
you know what I'm saying?
The gun thing is just ridiculous how many guns people have.
I don't want to have anything to do with guns unless I'm like trying to fight off a wild boar from my garden in Hawaii or something. Then you're allowed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's Galen. That's shout out to my buddy Galen in Hawaii with his wild boar gun. You're fine. That's fine. But never, ever and I've been in some pretty sketchy situations. Have I been like, I wish I had a gun. I would feel safer. I'd be like, no, I could get shot if I had a gun.
Yeah, I just don't think that guns really provide like that much safety in my opinion. I felt way more safer in other countries that had it more regulated, or even like when you have people that where the cops aren't carrying guns, it's like kind of nicer. It's like, oh, okay, like they're going to find so many other solutions before they go to a violent solution. Like violence is the last thing instead of a, shoot first, ask questions later situation, which I think happens here way too much.
And because most of the places in the world, they don't really have guns, you can be your own kind of armor. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like you can just, I remember once in Milan. In Milan, I had this little dude following me. It was very late at night. Very, very late at night. I was waiting for a train that was coming out like 4 a.m. or something. So we're talking 2, 3 a.m. And I'm just rocking around. The McDonald's is just closed. It's the only place open in these European towns, and this guy's following me. And he's like, solo voglio parlare. He's like, I just want to talk. And I'm just like, not even feeling threatened. I'm just irritated at this point. I'm like, bro, get away from me. And it was very interesting to observe that in myself, that I'm like, I'm not even really feeling scared. I'm just getting mad. And I'm thinking about like the state of the world and the fact that so many women are then scared to be out on their own because of like dumb ass useless wet towels of, I know, you can't call these people men out there who are just, what are you doing, bro? Like just following me around. And I turn around and I'm like, parlare di cosa vuoi cazzo? And I just started like fucking barking in his face. And he was like, and he turned around and he ran. And I mean, that's pretty cool. But also I was in such a state. I don't know what I'm capable of. I've never actually been in a physical altercation. I feel like I'm more bark.
I've never been in a fight. I have slapped a guy at a bar because he kept trying to grab my ass. And I was like, don't do that. And don't do that. Third time, fucking turn around and slapped him in the face. Because it was just like being super inappropriate. And I was like, don't fuck with me. And
how did that go?
He didn't fuck with me. Yeah, he left. Good. Yeah, he was just like...
Sometimes a good smack is all it takes.
Yeah, and, I haven't done that too often, but I've done, I've just like, slaps. I slapped somebody when I was in 3rd grade and went to the principal for that. But I wish I had the balls that you did, because I had a similar situation in Italy. I was in Florence and I was walking back
They're very enthusiastic.
Yeah, and it's
They're very enthusiastic.
And the thing is, I think the idea in Italy, it's like everyone plays hard to get, so like they just assume you're interested or whatever. But like I had another guy that was, it was like 1:30 or something. I was walking back from a festival in the fortress thing that they have. I was walking back, and this guy's walking. He's like, ciao bella, ciao bella. And I just keep walking. I don't look at him. I cross the street. He crosses the street too. And we're going the same direction. And then I see a shop that's open. I just kind of duck in the shop. Talk to the guy for a second. Like this restaurant that was open super late. They were about to close down, but I waited 5 minutes. He was still outside. So I talked to the guy, and he just like, calm me down a second, and then I waited like 10 more minutes.
Did you get the guy? Did you tell him?
Yeah. I told him what was up. And I wasn't. My Italy wasn't that good, but he understood what was going on. He was like, "Hey, just sit down." I think he got me like a tea or something. Like they're super nice there. Like he just wanted me to feel safe.
Yeah, and we're used to it. It's everyone.
But I wasn't worried that this guy had a gun or anything. I was just like, this guy's just being too aggressive.
I need to take some space.
Yeah.
Yeah. I once punched a guy in the throat. That was pretty good.
Oh, yeah? What did he do?
Kind of tricked me up some stairs. This guy was kind of, we're in a situation where like we're walking together. We've met each other, but we're not, the relationship has not been defined. If anything, the relationship is like, you're supposed to be a host in this space, kind of guiding me through this space. You're certainly not supposed to be a predator. And it was another situation where I didn't get scared. I was super mad. I mean, I've certainly experienced fear, of course, but in lots of situations like that.
But that's good because you can stand up. Like I think in those situations, like I feel
and that's why I thought it was so funny, because I punched him in the throat instead of the face, because I guess maybe on some instinctual level I must have thought that was going to hurt or something to punch him in the
face.
Well, I punched him in the throat, and that was really smart. So do that, because he started like,
Oh, because they cough?
breathe.
Oh.
And then I bust on out of there. And then I made a run for it. And I was fine. But the other kind of stuff, you guys you gotta have a sense of humor about it.
Yeah.
Too, otherwise you're just mad all the time.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta just, that's the hard thing. It's like figuring out like what's...
And you're like, am I crazy right now? Do I look like a big bitch for punching somebody in the throat? No! Should have killed him!
Yeah, people should be like, all right, like that guy was clearly being an asshole. Like,
I mean, I wouldn't mind, making a, like, kind of going back to some old school, like, tarring, feathering. Although, I mean, I don't think that's very helpful. I just think that it would be fun.
Feathering?
Remember when they used to take people, like, criminals and cover them in black tar and then feathers?
I want to see them in the old school, like, thing where they're in the middle of the town and their, like, hand and neck are, like, in this contraption. The stocks.
Oh, yeah, the stocks,
like,
that'd be good.
Put them in the stocks and just have people shame them, But
well, I mean, obviously we're living in a time of quite enough fear and shame and guilt.
I know.
We need to align the compassion and forgiveness and guiding each other through vulnerability. But in the meantime, we could definitely stick some Weinsteins and stocks.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I think that would be good. That's,
chop off his bits.
They had some crazy old
example.
So we're all they had some crazy old torture. I went to a torture museum in like Prague like years ago.
No way.
And like it's
dope.
That stuff was crazy. The crazy shit that they would do, and like even for people that like they would have like signs that people just walk around and have to wear for the day saying thief or things like that, like to shame them. That was enough because people had such a good moral compass that they didn't want to shame their family. And now I feel like we're so lost in that,
We're lost. We're very fragmented. Everybody's become very fragmented.
What is it like in India? Is it fragmented at all, or is it all everyone's...
People are nuts. But there's a lot of dope people, too. I mean, there's a lot of us. Mm-hmm. It's a lot. So it's hard to... I can't possibly speak on anyone besides myself. Speak on behalf of anyone besides myself, And I have a lot of fun when I'm over in India. I feel like I can be very loud and completely... nuts, and nobody even pays attention. Nobody cares. There's like,
you can just
whatever, you think you're crazy, check out this dude. This dude's crazy, and then there's like a whole billion of us, if that makes sense. I spend a lot of time in Goa, and I do feel that very much when I'm there. I feel like, I make this analogy, if I was salsa, I'd be I'm very spicy here, in the States, in Chicago, in cities even, I'm quite a handful.
Yeah, that's a tamale, yes.
And in India and Goa, man, I'd be like mild to medium.
Oh, interesting.
It's all a bunch of spicy motherfuckers. Spicy. They are crazy.
Yeah.
Totally mad people. Especially when you have to like move away from everything that you grew up and are associated with, and just create your own economy. Mm-hmm. It's like these guys I have professional fire dancer friends. That is exhausting life also, that's when you get to that level when you're doing like...
Yeah, because you do a fire jam and you dance a fire too. That's
fire dance.
That's fucking awesome. I love the fire jam. That's like such a great thing.
Yeah, it's funny too. It's incredible. It's a beautiful space. It does, again, feel a bit fragmented. I'm so deeply grateful to all the guys that do the Full Moon Fire Jam space. Absolutely. I'm so grateful to see everybody come together. But it does feel very much like, again, it doesn't feel like there's that access to... Anybody can fire dance. Here you go. Here it is.
It used to be that. So I gone when I was in college before, in the summers. So I gone many years ago. So I went like 8 years ago, I remember the first time I went. Because I had a friend in college that liked to do the sticks,
Uh-huh.
So we went to see her do it. And like back then it was way smaller. And so
okay,
it
so it was
wasn't
more of an open
it was. So it's,
jam type of thing.
What it started out was it was somebody's birthday. Like, I think, like, 10 or 12 years ago or something. It was somebody's birthday. And they're like, oh, let's all go, like, spend fire and stuff. It happened to be around the time of the full moon, and they all had so much fun. They're like, oh, let's come back and do this next month. And they did it all the warm months. So, like, I have gone at times where it was, like, 100 people.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Like a lot less. And
so that makes sense.
And then you get to tell, but it just became such a cool thing. It became a big movement, and they don't want to deny anyone the chance to do it. And then the drum circle grew. So it became such a big thing. But, like, I started going back when it was, like still considered an indie thing, I guess.
The logistics involved, of course, we're making the best of a complicated situation.
Yeah.
Which, again, with, like, the freedoms that we're talking about, I have, all of us, we all have the freedom to just go to places like India or Thailand, and you can just be spitting fire all night, every night.
Oh, really?
Anywhere. If you
That's
feel
amazing.
Like it. If you feel like it. I mean, obviously there are going to be places where they're like, get out of here. Go away. There's smoke coming everywhere, but there are a lot of places where, I mean, a full moon fire jam in India is like 3 days. 3 entire nights of nonstop. A lot of Russians. I know a lot of really crazy Russians.
I feel like everyone should have a crazy Russian friend,
Everyone
right?
needs to know some crazy Russians.
Yeah.
We grow up with this, like, propaganda, this, like, anti-Russia propaganda. It's so weird, It's like the Soviets and Boris. It's like, have you met any Russians? They're dope. They're really crazy. It's like old history, old stories.
So you said you could do fire spinning basically any night in India. Could you do that the same with comedy? Was there, like, that many places for comedy as well?
No, there's nowhere doing comedy. And when I say I was doing comedy, it's like there's performances happening. There's music. There's theater types of things. There's, like, it's very come do whatever you want. There's no shortage of audience. So I, for example, was doing my first experiences on stage was just, like, hosting open mics. Okay. And what's cool about people being in India at an open mic is that you would get people who would never, ever go up at an open mic of anything in the country that they're from, where they have, like, this identity and, this, like, I play music or I don't play music and, I wouldn't feel comfortable going up there. In India, it's like, I'm here in India. Maybe I'm never going to see these people ever again. So you get a lot of people on stage who have never performed ever before and perhaps would never perform again.
Yeah, because when you go to a different city, it's like nobody knows you. You kind of have this anonymous feel, and you could try it out without being judged. Yeah, and just doing it for you. So that was magical. Sometimes I'd get heat about it. Like, why are you letting this girl on stage? She sucks. I'm like, because it's an open mic. It's an open mic. There's no, like, You do whatever you want. You want to go up there and suck, or maybe, and it's, it's very subjective. Art. This girl that they were speaking about specifically, she was pretty tough to listen to, but she was incredible. She was so radiant and shining, so a lot of people would connect with her and completely love her. Everybody's fucking hippies in India. Anyway, it's like hard to take people seriously sometimes. So what, you were doing that for a while, and then you're just like, I want to do more of this, and you were like, I'm going to go to Chicago, or?
No, I was living my life in India. I play music, I sing songs.
Wow, you do everything.
We're all capable of doing everything, Sarah. It's whether or not we get to remember that, and get to believe that, and give a shit what other people think, and get in our own way. And if you give a shit what other people think, I mean, to tell you the truth, I don't really sing that very much in here and in the U.S.
Yeah.
It's different when you're traveling too. It's like that's your little companion, an instrument or singing music. That's your own.
It's a way to connect with other people.
It's a great way to connect with other people, and it's a great way to disconnect and just be with, it doesn't matter who the president of anywhere is. When you're just like ding, 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 pinging away on a little guitar and ukulele, whatever, singing your little heart out.
That's something I really like about going to hostels is you can connect with people. I remember running into specific people that had a guitar. I had one guy that had me carve my initials into his guitar.
Oh my gosh.
Well, we had hooked up, so like, but like it was like he was like, oh, he was a Kiwi. He was from New Zealand.
Yeah, bro.
And we hooked up, and like the next morning, he's like, hey, I want you to carve your initials into this guitar.
That's so romantic.
And I was like, that's awesome. Like, that's a moment, right? Like, that's just a cool moment to remember.
And fun stuff like that would be like so ridiculous if somebody came up to you and said that to you at like an open mic or something, you know, and there's this urgency of the now when you're traveling. And, it's like easier to kind of show up for silly things like, yeah, just carving your name into somebody's guitar that you'd be like, no, dude, I'm not going to get away from it.
I think it's trying to, when I travel, I try to immerse myself in that country and in that culture and get that experience.
That's the best way to do it.
I always eat local. I don't eat, like, the only times I have, like, I had KFC in China just because it was so fucking different. They had, like, egg rolls at the KFC in China. So I was like, I gotta try this shit, because it's so different. But, like, very rarely do I ever, and that's usually out of necessity because somewhere's not open, do I ever, like, try. But the food is, like, so good. Like that, I feel like that just helps. Like when you try the food of a place, like that really gets you into seeing everything,
They have a Serenity burger at the McDonald's in Singapore.
What is the Serenity burger?
I think it's like a regular burger, but they call it a Serenity burger. And they have a Maharaja Mac at the McDonald's in India, which is no beef. It's a chicken burger, but we eat buffalo in India, which is like the cousin of the cow, but they say the cow is sacred, but the buffalo's okay. I don't know. That's silly. And we're also the number one beef exporter, I think, India. So it's very sacred to not eat it, but it's totally cool to sell it for profit.
Wait, what? I didn't realize that. That's interesting.
We're all a bunch of hypocrites. The story. Tune changes depending on what song you're singing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Depends what the context is. Then it's like, okay, don't eat the cow, but we can sell the cow. That's funny.
Even if you know it's going to be eaten later.
Even if you know it's going to be eaten by somebody else less sacred than you later.
Huh.
Very happy to take their money.
So have you never eaten cow your whole life?
No way. I did everything. I traveled too much. I mean, I eat probably less meat than the average meat eater. Certainly less meat. I love vegetarian, vegan food. I love raw food. I was probably 80% raw when I was living in Hawaii. You just adapt to your environment.
You really are like a nomad, huh? Is this the longest you've been in one place for a while?
This is the longest I've been in one place for a while. And it's, so I'm living in India, and then I had a motorcycle accident. And that's why I came back to the States. And now I grew up here. And, like right before the accident, I was getting paid to host this big festival. It was a great gig. And all I have to do is get up there, and be like, how's everybody feeling? They're like, we love you. And cause there's no like women, just keeping it real and being silly.
So there's like, yeah, that's just not a thing.
No Indian women.
No Indian women like do that in India?
Most of the Indian women that you would see on stage are very like, hello, tonight we are going to have the Vasundhara Festival. It's like very like
presentational.
Overproduced. Yeah, presentational, and I'm like, what's up everybody? And it's like, I'm just my version of normal, That's what I think normal sounds like, and just being authentic. Or whatever. I don't know why I put it in quotes. You shouldn't have to put authentic in quotes. They should just be authentic, right? I'm just being authentic. That's better. Little hand gesture.
So did you get to do that festival or no?
I got to do the festival, and I was doing comedy at like random spots where they're like, okay, there's a band going on, but why don't you do like 15 minutes of your program, of your comedy program?
They call it a comedy program?
And I'm like, sure, I'll do some of my program. So I just get up there and be like, just telling stories,
in Indian or in
Hindi?
Say Hindi, sorry.
In English, because it's international crowds, and English is like I think the language most spoken now, even more than Hindi. I'm not sure. There's so many languages in India, and then there's one main one in the north, and then a couple of main ones in the south. So I have to speak English with people from South India because I don't speak any South Indian languages. And a lot of them speak Hindi because South Indians are smarter. There, I said it.
Whoa.
I'm North Indian.
Yeah? Is that like a big deal? Is that like a lifelong Cubs fan being like, the Sox are better, that kind of thing?
I guess so.
Yeah. Wow.
Kind of. Yeah, I mean, it's not really...
But how many languages do you speak then?
3.5.
3.5.
3.5, and then I can kind of puddle about in quite a few languages wherever I've been. Well,
that's amazing.
Know a few Hawaiian words. I mean, it's relative. If we were in Europe, everybody speaks at least 3 languages. Not everybody, but quite a few people.
I know. I wish we were a little bit more on top of stuff like that here.
Yeah, it's funny the way the language is taught in this country. You know how many people go through so many years of Spanish and don't know how to say anything?
Well, that's because it's actually... I took an anthropology language class in college, and it's actually, like, so if you're a young kid, like from the ages of 2 to 6, your brain grows at such a rapid rate that if you're exposed to multiple languages in that period of time, you could be fluent for life in those languages. So you could learn 4 languages in that age period and remember that for the rest of your life. But it's also very hard to learn a language after, I think it's the age of 12 or 14. One of those ages is very hard to learn and really become fluent in a language before that. And most schools in America don't start teaching language until high school, where people are already 14. So I think that's where a lot of that issue comes in. And we're not exposed to people from, like, it's so weird. I have met people, and I've worked with people before, that have never left the state of Illinois.
Yeah.
Wisconsin and Indiana are so close. Like, that have never left the state. And they're, like, adults. And it's like in other countries, when you go, it's like leaving a state to go to another country and see people, like...
Yeah.
Doing it's amazing. The first time I traveled abroad, I was so amazed that I felt like everyone here is so much smarter than us. Like, it's not... I wish I had grown up or been around more of that in my life, I think.
But don't worry, you guys. There are dumb people everywhere in this world to remind us that we're not doing too bad. Mm-hmm. We're on average dumb Americans, I think. I mean, there are a whole lot of really dumb people in India, for sure.
I am still amazed, because India, from what I've heard, is very similar, because I went to Vietnam and there were no traffic signs in Vietnam. Like, when they're, like, motorcycles down the street, that kind of thing. There's no... Yeah,
is it the same thing? Many places in India, it's definitely a bit more along the lines of, okay, there's the road, just go for it. Go for it. It's like everything. There's all sorts of stuff in the road.
That was one of the most terrifying things, like crossing the street, because my friend was just like, you just have to walk at a constant pace, and then they'll go around you.
Yeah, people have different ways of... It's all flowing, though. It's incredible to see so many people in movement, and so many people just... The traffic, the way that it does move when it is moving is amazing. And I remember I was saying about how I can be very emotionally expressive. Mm-hmm. I remember once seeing like these 2 donkeys like backed up onto their back legs with their front legs kicking at each other. Like they were in the middle of a fight, like a fight in the middle of the road. And I was on the back of the scooter with a motor scooter with my uncle. And he just like sped around, did not even blink an eye. You know, he's like, whatever, who cares about those donkeys? And I felt like that's a very good kind of metaphor for you can just be like kicking somebody in the face in the middle of the road, and people are just carrying on.
Wow.
With their lives. You just got to keep on keeping on. I mean, at the same time, you're going to get stared at a lot as a non-Indian, and me even as a non-resident Indian, they can spot me from a mile away. And it's like, where are you from? I can get away with just saying I'm from Bombay or from Delhi.
Just by the way you dress?
Everything. The way I hold myself, the way I walk, the way I communicate with my body language, the way I'm kind of like entitled. Rocking around, I'm like, I'm American. I have rights. come at me, bro. Come at me. You know, like, I'm like...
Yeah,
my dad works at the embassy. That's a great line, by the way, when you're traveling.
My dad works at the embassy?
Yeah. People, it just confuses people. Like, that may or may not be true. I don't want to fuck with her anymore.
That is a great piece of advice. That's awesome.
Also, for ladies, the power of pregnant, that is an incredible superpower. I've gotten through police blocks, airport security.
Just saying you're pregnant?
Like, I could be... I'm pretty sure I'm pregnant. So if you guys don't want to mess up my baby, you better let me through right now.
Shit.
Pregnant just is like licensed to be crazy, I think also. You know, it's like, I'm not crazy, I'm pregnant. They're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to offend you. I hope I don't mess up your baby. I got through this pretty wicked police block. It's like backed up for miles. I remember, and I'm like, watch this with my buddy on the back of my scooter at that time. And he just went, bing, and rocked up to the front of the line like, I am pregnant. And these police just jumped out of the way. Like, oh, being a woman is so dope if you know about how dope it is.
I am still amazed also how many people they can fit. Like, I remember seeing like a family of 5 in Vietnam, like on one scooter thing. Mm-hmm. It's like...
Just chilling. They don't even look cramped.
Yeah, they just they look so content.
They look relaxed.
I see women with like 5-inch heels, like rocking the things.
With these outfits that are like kind of billowy, and you're like, how are you not?
But it's so beautiful.
Getting caught in the tire and getting like thrown off the bike.
I've only seen it in Vietnam in person, really, for that, because...
I guess they're not wearing as billowy outfits.
But what they did, because it would rain like every day the time I went, but it would only rain for like an hour. So then everybody would just stop. When it started raining, everyone would literally just pull over and stop, like in the middle of the road, and they would all pull out their ponchos, and everyone just puts on their ponchos and keeps on going.
Oh, so you were there monsoon time.
No, I don't know if it was... It was like October-ish, you know, so... But it was a while ago. But I haven't traveled like for years on end like you have. That's pretty amazing.
Well, I mean, when you start traveling, it's also very hard to stop. And while it's amazing, it's tiring also, and it's pretty cool.
How do you make money while you're traveling?
Money moves everywhere. So you can, you get into that flow anywhere. Like I was selling those clothes over in Europe. I was also street performing. I was doing fire dancing at night. I was traveling around with this Mexican girl. She was a powerhouse of creation. She was a lot of people making jewelry. That was not me. I was sitting once with these Brazilians, and they're showing me how to do like macrame to make jewelry to then sell. I did actually make macrame hair braids in a mountain town in India called Dharamsala. And I was like putting these like fancy little braids, like festival braids into women's hair, and that was a pretty sweet gig. Just sit there, wrap hair, and a lot of massage. I'm massaged everywhere.
That's
massaged
great.
everywhere, and when I do this massage in the water also. So when I was living in Hawaii, that was pretty sweet. I was like, okay, this is my office. This little bay where I would meet clients is such a weird word to me, because that's a very, that's a very
formal
capital, in terms of like, we all have to exchange energies. If you want, I make massage, you give me, whatever, you give me money so that I can eat food. It's so weird to think about the commerce of it, because for many years I only ever massaged people that I knew, or at the same time when you're traveling, who
you want to be careful.
Know? Who do you really know? Yeah, I mean, you want to be careful, but I feel so blessed. I never had any situation where I felt like my safety was being threatened when I was massaging anybody. No way.
Well, that's good.
No way, never. Definitely when I've received massages, I've had some creepers. That's very disappointing, because lots of people have had very sketchy
massage seems to be a weird in that some people like to try to use. When
I was getting my license here in the States, we spent like a whole class day, I remember talking about how you have to be very clear with your wording and advertising, because massage therapy in this country is like the number one front
for prostitution, right?
Sex trafficking and human trafficking.
Yeah, I recently read an article that just made me so sad. It was like saying like how there is a lot more trafficking in our backyard than we realize. And it's
girl, yeah, there's all sorts of stuff going on right here, right at home. We think child prostitution and human trafficking is so far away. No, man, shit's happening right.
That's so scary.
Right here. So that's so, you have
to be very cautious with how you're advertising, and
I don't, thankfully, because I'm know who I'm working with.
Yeah.
I'm not really like putting myself out. I am actually getting ready to just build just a Facebook page, and I feel so vulnerable. I'm like, oh my God, I don't want people asking me for sex stuff. I don't even tell comics that I massage, because I had like one young kid say something gross to me at an open mic once, and I'm like, word, got it. Never mentioning my work around this community anymore. They're all a bunch of gross, dumb children. That's how I feel about comics.
Yeah. Do you feel weird being in the same place for so long? Are you feeling like antsy, or do you love it? Do you love it here?
Well, it's different having traveled for so long, then it's like now I'm very much ready to be in a kind of rhythm and building a base and momentum. And I like the idea of having a base here in Chicago and then being able to go away to, work wherever over in the world. And now I feel, it's exciting to be in my 30s and feel like I'm not going anywhere unless there are basic expenses covered. Like, I know what I'm worth. And I'm still learning. I'm very much learning what I'm worth and how to ask, but I'm getting better at it,
That's good. Was it a culture shock at all to come back after all those years of traveling?
Nah. You when you are traveling from so early on, I would say, if anything, it's cool to watch myself kind of calm down and not so reactive to my environment. I hated it growing up here. I hated it. I hated strip malls, and of course everybody hates the burbs, but now it's cool. I like, I hated being Indian. I was like, y'all need to chill. Everybody is extremely ambitious and sociopathic. And everybody's so good. Everybody's like listening to their parents and shit. Who are these people? Leave me alone. Leave me alone. I'm like, I'm just here to enjoy myself and be really happy, because I feel like I figured that out. But you gotta work. You gotta work, and I'm not so good at working, so it's good for me to be in one place. When you're traveling, there's again that urgency, right? Like, if you don't find somebody who's got a ton of food and a place for you to stay, which there are tons of places to stay and there's tons of food all over this planet. That's so funny. I gotta go into a quick tangent. I was staying in this squat in Greece in a town called Thessaloniki. And it's like a college town, so there's tons of colleges there. And there's tons of squats. And there was this one college giving away free meals, like hot meals, twice a day.
What?
So you're living in a squat, and the government or whoever is paying for the lights to go on and for there to be like heating, and you're getting...
Wait, they pay for that?
These buildings are running.
Wow.
There's electricity in these squats. I'm not really clear on who's paying for the maintenance, how that works, but I know we were not paying any money to stay in this building, and I know that we were eating 2 meals a day for free, and it would have been very easy to just watch 10 years go by in that space.
Oh.
You know what I mean? So you got to get...
Because traveling can be like a drug almost,
Yeah, and you can find yourself, working in a hostel or something, and it's like, I don't really need to make any money because my expenses are covered and I'm being fed. So now I can just stay here. So you still gotta, get your hustle on, and it's good. You have to get a visa to go to another country. Like India, for example, Americans have to get a visa. Even me.
Yeah, but you have dual?
No, India doesn't allow dual citizenship.
Oh.
So, I can get a whole other ID card. Anyway, most of the time I've just gone on a regular 10-year American visa, but you're still only allowed to be there for 6 months at a time. So you have that motivation. That's like, I'm going to have to go.
So when you traveled, you could only be at a place for like 6 months, and then you'd have to leave and go to like Europe for 6 months, and then you'd have to leave and go somewhere else? Or?
For example, yeah.
Yeah, for example. Like,
yeah.
But you didn't have to go back to the States to be able to get reissued those visas?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, with a 10-year visa in India, you can just bounce back and forth between Europe and India for 10 years.
Wow.
And never have to come back if you don't want to. And I really didn't think I was coming back. I thought that if I was coming back, I was just coming back to kind of, bounce around, share whatever it was that I was doing, be it music or art or comedy. It's so interesting now because comedy is hard. Comedy's hard.
Yeah.
It's a very toxic environment. I feel like I'm an adult now, so I can handle it. I'm not really a big drinker. I'll drink a little bit here and there, but I bring my tea thermos out, and I still get made fun of.
People make fun of you?
Sure, and I feel, you got to be a bit bold to just bust your tea thermos out in the middle of, like, freaking gallery cabaret with all these, dudes
I bring my
drinking PBR.
fucking water. And last night, fucking at the drop, some dude was just like, "You want to drink?" I was like, "Oh, no, I'm not drinking tonight," And he's like, almost like, "Really? Like, are you sure? Like, I'm offering you a free drink. Like, why do you want to drink?" And I'm just like, I drink. I just don't feel like drinking right now.
That's a great example of, like, it's so easy to just avoid those interactions by not going. And even, like, you gotta really... I feel like once you start this industry path, it's like, that's it. Mm-hmm. You got to do that. And I feel like that's why I've waited so long also, because it is so nice to be in paradise and not have to worry about money because you don't need that much money. But it's like, I got to get to it eventually.
Well, with comedy and with stand-up, you actually have things to say and people are listening to you. It's a platform to share stuff and to make some sort of change, even if you're doing it through comedy.
I mean, that's the idea, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's pretty exciting. Even just to give people the opportunity to laugh is an incredible gift, because it's like we're living in very heavy-duty times right now, man. Somebody just said after a show recently, they're like, every day is just a living nightmare.
Oh.
It's such a relief to laugh. And I was like, holy shit, what? Wow. Oh my God. I don't think we're in a living nightmare. I mean, we're not refugees, for fuck's sake. We're just living in Trump's America. I guess it's all relative, though. It depends on...
Yeah.
We're not like immigrants. I mean, maybe you are. But, I'm not. Most of these people that are talking about the living nightmare are not.
Yeah.
But it's an important time to be laughing. We're going to make it. We're going to be okay. The gun thing, I was at an Indian thing recently. Which means, because I'm living at home with my parents... right now, they have very busy social lives. They have tons of friends that they've known the entire time that they've been here. It's pretty cool. They're part of a pretty strong community. So these are like aunties and uncles that I've been connected to. And they're intense. And it's so funny because they haven't been able to support the process of me getting now. But now they're like, Sonal, you're a comedian. Come on. Make us laugh. And I'm like, guys, chill. I'm just here for material, I was saying the other night. But when we were talking about the gun thing, and one of my uncles was like, we're just waiting for all these gun people to shoot each other in the face and be done with it.
What? That's funny.
And I was like, that is a very slow game that you're playing. But I like your style. Like, I don't know when that's going to happen. I mean, how long before all the people with guns just shoot each other in the face and then that's it? There's no use for guns anymore because all the people that are left are like, oh, God, guns. I don't want anything to do with... Oh, get away from me. Because that's how Indians are. Not all of them, but all the ones that I know. Whenever I bring up guns, it's so cute. You know, my dad and all his, like, professor friends are like, I don't like guns. You know?
That's funny.
And I'm like, oh, good, that's good. Let's see, maybe that's fun. We have to be so careful. Everything is so politicized. You can't even mention the word guns without polarizing the audience and people who are into their guns getting very offended.
You find that people living in India have a harder time laughing at jokes? Because, like, in England, it's kind of that way. Like, people are a little bit more, like, in their head when seeing comedy shows.
People are laughing all the time.
In India?
People just want to laugh all the time.
That's great.
I mean, you got to. There's so many of us. You got to laugh. There's serious people, too, but people are very funny, and...
Even more so than, like, here.
Americans are so uptight.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. No, people are so like, PC this and PC that, and don't laugh at that. That's not appropriate to laugh at. It's like, when you're in a comedy show and people have permission to laugh, even then, you have to be careful. You have these self-righteous audience members like, I found that offensive. It's like, good for you. You're offended. Go journal about it. Get a life. Get away from me.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine. You had a feeling. Observe that feeling. Observe that sensation. Isn't it extraordinary that we're capable of feeling so much, People aren't... I don't know. My experience is like people are delighted to laugh in India, and, it's again, because there's so many of us, people very much like know their place in society. And I would say that there is something called karmic complacency, where you're not necessarily like, I don't want to be a rickshaw driver anymore. I want to get educated and become a doctor. I mean, I'm sure that that's possible, but I'd say that that's very rare. And this isn't, I don't know. I don't actually know what I'm talking about. Are you saying they just get used to the jobs that they have and the life they have and they're happy, so they don't want to go and pursue bigger things? Yeah. Yes. And that, when you have a culture based on a philosophy of reincarnation, where it's like, it will be many, many lifetimes before we achieve liberation. So
Interesting.
It's all good. Take your time.
Do you believe in multiple lives as well? That's something I kind of believe in, definitely.
I sure do.
Yeah.
I'm also happy to believe anything. I think people should believe whatever the hell they want and try not to argue too much about it.
I agree too. That's another thing I've noticed at other countries. It's such a rude to ask people about their religion and things like that. Like it's nobody's business. It's a personal thing, and don't push your beliefs on other people. I don't know. I kind of follow more of the philosophy style things. I think Buddhism and Taoism are more like philosophies, and I think they have good tenets to them.
It's how you live your life. Mm-hmm. It's not like this
you don't have to be certain rules. You don't have to follow all these rules.
If you don't mess it up, you're going to die and end up in a bad place for a real long time. It's like, I don't know. People don't know how to live. They're scared to die. It's like, you're scared to live, scared to die, you're scared all the time.
Yeah, our culture definitely breeds a lot of people that are scared, which is frustrating, I think.
A lot of fear, yeah. And then to be fearless is so bold.
I was reading something that basically, if you're going to turn a liberal to a conservative, what you would do, if you're talking about their views, you tell them to think about, their imminent death before thinking about these causes, and then it immediately makes them want to be more conservative overall.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was reading this study that was done. I can't remember who did it. Sorry, but I don't have.
I would need a specific example.
But what they would do, what they did was they questioned all these people about this. They were asking, several different areas and where they were falling, and they took people that were mostly liberal views, and they were able to change some minds to more conservative by basically scaring them and having them think about their death.
Right,
And
I get that, but I don't.
I think that's
I don't get it.
why.
What would an example be? What's like an example of a liberal view?
Okay, so like, I want you to think that something big could happen and you could die tomorrow. Then people's choices end up being more conservative. So like, if they, maybe they were not really for guns, but like, if I'm gonna die tomorrow, maybe I should have a gun to protect myself. Like, that's a weird example, but they didn't have the specific questions in the study. I just read a news article about it, but it was talking about how basically a lot of tactics have been to scare people into more conservative style thinking. And for liberals, it's kind of the opposite. Like, you tell them that you tell them to imagine that they're Superman or that they're invincible, and then they make more liberal choices overall because they're not afraid to go past that.
That's so interesting. That then it's like death is the pivot point instead of like, well, if I'm going to die anyway, I'm going to live the last moments that I have instead of, not even live those moments because I'm just so scared.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think we shouldn't live in fear for sure.
I mean, that's one of the things about traveling also, that you live with this urgency of the now, because it's like, I'm only going to be in this place for this amount of time, so I better like live it up and really show up for the time that I'm here.
Not spend time looking at your phone or whatever, like, I always made sure I never really drank a ton because I didn't want to be hungover or anything and not be able to enjoy myself and get to see and do what I wanted to do. Like, well, of course I wasn't there crazy long, but yeah. One other quick question. We also talked about relationships briefly. Mm-hmm. So your family, are they practicing like their religion? Like, are they?
Sure. I mean, culturally we're Hindu also. So it's like we're Indian, we're Hindu. All of the holidays and festivals are then with the religion.
No, I take it probably not the arranged marriage type thing, right?
My parents had an arranged marriage.
Oh, they are?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
All their friends are arranged marriages, too. I mean, maybe. Do we know anybody that's love marriage? It's called love marriage if it's not an arranged marriage.
So arranged marriage is just regular marriage, and love marriage is...
irregular.
Interesting. Did you see Kumail's film?
No, I did not. The Big Sick. No, I have not seen it yet.
It's good. It's interesting. It definitely plays with some of that aspect in it, where they're constantly trying to set him up with other people. It's interesting.
Yeah, but that's, and my mom, we're having, the conversation is shifting, at least, to, it's like, we want you to get married, and for many years, it's like, no, everything, you have to rebel so hard against everything, that eventually you get to the point where it's like, you know what, maybe I would like to get married too. But I've never even been able to think about that because I've had to push back against you guys pushing this whole idea of marriage on me for so long. That now the conversation is shifting, instead of just like, no, Ma, I don't want to get married. Now it's like, you know what? I would like to get married. I'd love to have like a partner to, be in that intimacy with and come home to and share struggle and triumph and blah, 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 and create like this secret language with, and all the fun and, all the work of being in a relationship. But it's like, I don't know where he or she or whatever is at, so I'm not in a position where I'm putting my energy into putting myself out there. I'm just trying to focus on what I'm doing and get really good at it, and then and make myself available. But I'm not like trying to put myself on websites or anything.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then my mom's like, okay, well, that's good. And we joke and stuff about like, oh, I met this cute guy. I'm like, go ahead, introduce me.
Oh, they want to be introduced right away?
No, they tell me that I never tell them.
Oh, so do you welcome the idea of an arranged?
I mean, I welcome all ideas. Okay. They're just ideas. They're, of course, if there exists like some awesome partner for me out there, and we could find each other via the internet or something, and because our astrology matches or something, then like, sure, I'll meet up for a dinner and see what's up. I'm not going to be like, that's ridiculous. ridiculous. That's impossible. Imagine that, it'd be like winning the lotto. It'd be great.
It'd be amazing.
People win.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's very often. I haven't heard very many great arranged marriage success stories in my generation.
Got it.
But I sure know a lot of people still getting arranged marriages my age, which I found very shocking in my 20s.
I'm surprised by that. Like, I mean,
I was like, what?
Like, do they meet the people? Do they at least date before or have a courting period before they actually marry?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not like...
But often it's like a business arrangement.
Man.
It's like this...
Do they exchange goods or money or dowry or anything?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, there's always lots of... It's like a business arrangement.
Weird.
It's like, okay, you're coming with...
Well, it's kind of weird that you feel like,
it's the same.
I'm worth this much.
Any marriage is like that. I mean, not any marriage is like that. Of course, there's lots of love marriages, but there's so many partnerships that are just based on like, well, I get along great with his family, and they have a house in the Hamptons, and blah, 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 and there's going to be great education for my kids, and ultimately I'm just going to like love my kids a ton. That's like, I'd say tons of marriages are like that.
Yeah, or like political reasons or whatever, or even the fake celebrity PR with your relationships.
I mean, I'm not, I can't do that. I'm good. I'd rather be on my own than be in like some
fake thing.
Sort of, not necessarily fake, but some sort of compromise. Mm-hmm. Why? Why would, unless I, deeply loved this person and felt like that love and the work to be in that love involved compromise. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's hard to talk about this stuff because you never really know until it's happening.
And it just hits it when you don't expect. See, for me, when it comes to people, it's like, it's got to be like a fuck yes or it's a no. Like, if it's not like, yes, I absolutely want to be with this person, I want to see them all the time. It's like, if it's not that, if it's just kind of, I like this person, and it's like, then it's probably not going to work out in my mind.
Again, there's very hard things to talk about. There was a man that I was with last year, and we had the most incredible time together, and he was like successful, handsome, fun, money, and it was like the vibe was not there. We had like the funnest dates ever. And then when we would go to like try to kiss, it was like, oh, damn it. We're not attracted to each other.
Chemistry's got to be there, man. That's the thing that I can't imagine, like committing to somebody without sharing some level of intimacy. Yeah.
First.
Yeah.
And that to me is amazing. The idea of like marrying somebody and not having even kissed.
Oh, that's insane.
That's insane. Imagine you get there and it's like,
well, there's that TV. There was that TV show, on TLC or
Arranged?
Something. Yeah. No, it was about people that had never kissed before. They'd only held hands.
There was this horrendous show called Arranged. I think it's called Arranged. And it's about arranged marriages, not just in India, but all over the world. But some of these couples, oh my God, because these women just like prepare themselves to be a wife. That's like what your life is. It's just, you can go to wife school in Delhi, in India.
What?
I tried to go just to get kicked out because I thought it would be a funny story, but my family wouldn't let me.
You tried to go to wife school just to...
You're just going to embarrass us. And I'm like, who gives a shit? Whatever. Who cares if you're embarrassed? It'll be a great story. It'll be great. Oh, that was funny. They wouldn't let me go though. I remember one of the things that I read on the website was like, make sure you have onion and garlic sauteing on the stove at least 15 minutes before your husband returns from work, so that he comes home and he starts to salivate, in arrival to his home. And he's working so hard to provide, and you as the wife should prepare the home space. And I'm like, oh, hell no, these motherfuckers. I'm about to terrorize the shit out of this wife school. Oh my God. And then, so in the show, there's this couple. And the guy, all I remember is this little clip where the guy's like, what is this? He's eating the food, and she's like, it's food. I made it for you. You don't like it? And he goes, I like food that I like. I like food that I like. And he said it just like this, with this petulance,
like he's like, you should read my mind.
I like food that I like, and she was like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that, and I know that I failed you, and I'm so sorry, please don't beat me too hard later. That's messed up. Sorry, domestic abuse, just marriage in a lot of places in the world still.
Well, I mean, that's, it's real. It's not, it is weird. I think some of the reason why, like, I still get weirded out by the arranged marriage things is it still feels like in those situations, it's always the woman that is subservient, in that. It's like almost setting it up. It's like,
and then it's so funny because they'll say, no, my wife, she's the one running everything. She's the real boss. It's like, okay, if you say so. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what that means. It's easy to say. Can your wife just like up and leave for 6 months? Be like, I'm going to go take a dance class in the south of Spain for 6 months. I'm going to go get my flamenco on. You're good. See you later. Like, what are we talking about? Your wife's running shit.
Yeah.
That's the kind of life that I have lived. Like, you know what? I'm going to go to Spain for 6 months. My ex-boyfriend, Ronan. It's so funny when I talk about Ronan. He's like the myth, the man, the legend. He goes to Guatemala every year to study Tai Chi, to live in a Tai Chi temple for 6 months.
That's so cool.
It is, and it's, that's not going to work if we're going to be partners.
Yeah.
But, we're broken up now, and we're everywhere. Our love is everywhere. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes any sense. That's like some hippie bullshit right there I just said.
Nah, if it's there, I think we have different people we have experiences with, and there's different levels of love. Like, there's so many other words for love. How many words are for love in Hindu?
I don't know, probably a lot.
And we only have one, and it's like, that's one thing that really frustrates me. Like, there needs to be
different ways to express. I mean, I feel very blessed to be connected to somebody that I love so intensely, still, and always will love him so intensely. I mean, when I'm at different levels of emotional availability, I can just like start crying thinking about Ronan, like walking around. Yeah. I was in the store the other day and I was just thinking about Ronan. I just started crying like, oh my God, I love him so much. It's ridiculous. And I called him and left him a message about it. And he's like, oh my God, you're such a dork.
Aww.
Rocking around the place crying. I'm like, I know I have a reputation. People think I'm really tough. People think I'm really tough, Sarah. You better tell people that on your podcast.
Yeah. I'm laying next to a real tough cookie.
Yeah, tough cakes, Agrawal, tough ass Agrawal. That's me. That's me, real tough. How about you? You big toughie?
I mean, when it comes to relationship, well, if I have a lot of walls because I was hurt. I was in a long relationship. It didn't work out. I was hurt for a long time. And that probably ultimately led me into stand-up because I was still doing other things, but performing-wise, and, I've been over that for a while, but I haven't let anyone get, like, too close. Like, I've had relationships or dated people, but nothing longer than 6 months and nothing where we, like, said I love you to each other. And that's been kind of where I'm at. It's, like, keeping people at a distance, for sure, because it's like that fear of being hurt again, that thing. And it's stupid to have that fear, because it'd be great to experience that again, but I think it'll just happen at its own time.
I love very intensely. I love fiercely, and I love immediately, and that I've probably freaked out quite a few people.
I can love really intensely, and fall hard, and then that person becomes like the top priority in my life, and I think I don't want that.
You have to be the top priority in your life. So
yeah, I know. But maybe it was because I was younger or thought that was the way it was supposed to be. But there's so many other things that I get love from that I don't think my life is lacking in love at all.
Good.
I get love from my friends. I get love from comedy. I get love from performing. I get love from all these awesome things I'm creating. I might not have a baby, but I'm creating babies of like writing of different things, and that is fulfilling me in such a big way.
It is true. You're creating a lot. That's dope.
You know, and I'm putting it out there into the world. I don't know what's going to happen with it, but I feel like that has been such a different experience than like being in a relationship one-on-one where you love, and that's great. And I'm so glad that works for a lot of people, but I'm starting to wonder if that's ever going to work for me long term.
It's a lot of work also to be in a relationship. And it's hard when you do get so much fulfillment from like being on your own and doing your own things.
I mean, I miss having someone to cuddle with every single night. I've got a couple like people that I see sometimes, but
it's snuggle bums.
Yeah, but it's not
snuggle bums, kettle buds.
But yeah, I do kind of miss that a little bit. But
yeah, I also I feel like I'm, preparing myself or something. I mean, Jesus, I was horizontal for a long time after the accident. It was kind of a botched healing process. It took much longer than it was meant to. So I was like horizontal for almost a year.
Whoa.
It's pretty nuts, especially because my whole identity was based around movement.
You are such a like you've got so much energy, like being on stage and dancing and like everything. You're just a ball of fucking energy. I can't imagine you having to be like that for a year.
Yeah, I was pretty grouchy.
Some people get hangry. You're just like
I was real grouchy. I was still like really funny though to be around. I was like this real funny, real charming little grouch. Like shut up! I need be quiet. Go away. Put a movie on. God, I felt like I'd watched all of Netflix during that time. But it's so crazy. You watch stuff and there's still so much stuff these days to watch. Just endless amounts of stuff. Endless.
So much stuff out there.
Endless. It's like, and then all the stuff that I liked watching, I feel like now it's to the point where nobody's seen that stuff. Like, did you ever watch Avatar, the cartoons?
No.
What?
No. I watched Game of Thrones. I fuck with Game of Thrones. I love that.
Game of Thrones was fine. It was fine. There's parts that are fun and dope. There's other parts that are very, very frustrating. Also, great orgy scenes. Awesome.
And Big Mouth is really good. Have you seen that? That's a new cartoon. It's a new cartoon. It's about it's basically it's a ridiculous world, but it's about these kids that are in middle school going through puberty, and there's the hormone monster that visits them, and it's very funny. It's ridiculous and silly and fun. And actually, a guy that I've had on here before, Jack Knight, he does a voice and he writes for them. It's a Netflix show.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's real fun. That's my recent binge watch of that. But as we're winding down the podcast, I always ask somebody, I know we didn't talk as much about sleep, but I usually ask, what are your dreams for the future, for yourself?
I'd like to be back in my body pretty soon. I'd like to not be any pain anymore. I'd like to be in no pain as soon as possible. That's body goals. And I'd like to be able to move more. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense. It's funny that people see me moving around so energetically. This is like the most calmed down, composed version of myself thus far. And then I'd like to be traveling around, sharing what I do and what we do, and actually composing. I just had this extended set, kind of first draft of a one-woman show last week.
Oh, that's amazing.
And it was so incredible because I feel like, I'm 34-year-old now and I have so many stories, and everybody's always like, you should do stand-up, you should do a one-woman show, you should do this, you should do that. And it sounds so easy, but then it's like, okay, I'm ready. What is the process though? How do you create a one-woman show?
Those are hard, and I don't have the answer to that. But
but I did it last week. I did this 35-minute version of the whole broken leg story, actually. And it was very much like, okay, I feel like I see where I'm going now. And now I can be better about showing up for that journey also. If
That's
that makes
awesome.
sense. Yeah.
I can't wait to see that. That's awesome.
Yeah. And so many potential projects, so just to be like really clear about what I want to be doing and then do them, and quit half-assing around. I'm a master procrastinator. So bad. I'll take forever to send like an email. Not if I have to respond to somebody, if I'm being held accountable, if I'm in like you need to do this by then.
I'm good with that too.
Self-discipline is so hard.
It is very difficult. And I struggle with that as well.
Yeah. So I would like to be more self-disciplined. That's a dream.
Yes. I think those are very achievable dreams and goals.
It's good talking about them too, It's like, seems like not that big of a deal when you talk about it. When it's happening though, and you're like,
do you have a bigger thing? Like anything bigger as well? I like to bring this out to people because I think it's real interesting. Well, because now certain things have happened, like Stephen King Castillo, he was on, like 5 months ago, he was talking about how one of his dreams is to be on SNL, and now he writes for them. So
That's amazing.
I want to see how many people that I interview, like their stuff comes to fruition. It's just a thing. And it also puts it in your mind, So is there anything bigger? Because I feel like those are very easy for you to achieve in a couple of years. Not easy. The one-woman show is a lot of work. I will say that.
Yeah, and to be touring.
You want to tour with it? You want to tour
a one-woman show within the next year or 2 years, maybe. I don't know. It's hard for me to think of time, And I would like to be invited over to Europe to perform stand-up comedy.
Awesome.
To get specific, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be dope. Be awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing the podcast and sleeping with me.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for inviting me into bed.
Yeah. And
it's a really comfy bed.
Thanks. And we always end by saying good night. So, good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks for listening to Sleeping with Sarah, where I slept with Sonal Agarwal. Be sure to follow Sonal on Twitter, razor_bliss. And be sure to check out Congrats on Your Success. The next show is February 1st at Uncharted Books. Please remember to subscribe and rate and review on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and SoundCloud. We're brought to you by Audible.com. Please go to audibletrial.com/sleepingwithsarah. I'm releasing a new podcast each week. Be sure to tune in to find out who I have in bed with me next. Thanks to Josh Bryant for the music. You can find out more on sleepingwithsarah.com. And please follow me on Twitter @SarahAlbritton. Until next time, good night.